Hello, sysfailure here again, and welcome back to the Ultimate Command series. Today we're looking at the clone command, which is /clone, and I also sort of realised today that I had said way back over there that I was going to tell you what version of Minecraft all these came out in, so I've been forgetting. So let's try and start from now. This clone command is actually introduced in 1.8, or if you prefer, snapshot 14W03A. So on the servers still playing 1.7, this isn't available. So this is our little clone section. Now, with every other episode, the same is here. You're going to be able to download in the description below the entire world up to this point, and it gets updated every episode it gets released. So I've got a nice little reset button here just to reset the area if you happen to be playing with it. Okay, this is our little assembly that I'm going to be demonstrating various types of clone with. And a couple of bits I want to cover first is actually in regards to the help text. So if we do help clone, that text is actually incomplete. After here, there are another couple of possibilities and they're not there. That is being fixed in the pre-releases of the 1.8.1, is it, I think, coming. So don't worry about that. I don't think they cover something that I'm going to cover right at the end, though. And also, if you do the complete, which is... So you do that, and that, for example, that's as far as you go. But there is actually an extra thing that you can do that is not listed in the help, it's not listed in the autocomplete, and it's not listed on the wiki. But it is very useful, and we'll cover that down at the end. But that's advanced, so we're starting here. I want to mention I have some picture frames here. Why do I have picture frames with nice little sunflowers on them? Well, they're entities. If we pull up my free screen, the E in the top left there says I'm looking at 2 entities, and now I'm looking at 0, 1, and 2. They're there because the clone command doesn't actually clone entities, it only clones blocks. So for demonstration, here we are, a clone command in use. So that is cloning x11, y56, minus 188 on the Z. And the other corner of the region is 14 on the X, 69 on the Y, and minus 185 on the Z. And it's going to clone it to the coordinates of 11, 56, minus 194. I'm going to explain these bits before I'm demonstrating it. The coordinates, so X there and X there, they always go in the positive directions. So that one on the Y, positive is up. And the Z looks like it's getting smaller because 188, 185, but because it's a negative value, it's still heading towards positive. So if you bring up the free screen, positive X is east, positive Z is south, which means the starting point for clone region is the negative Z, negative X, or northwest, which is actually this block right here. And our other block is here, the opposite corner, top height. Always got to remember that. And when you clone to an area, this is the point that gets cloned. So this block here, with our lovely little command inside, which are all, I've forgotten the name for them now. Absolute coordinates, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, these are all absolute coordinates. So it's that absolute region, and it's cloning it to this absolute point. So if I press the button, there we go, 224 blocks cloned, and now we have a copy of the structure right there. The maximum amount of blocks you can clone is about 32,000, so if you're trying to bigger than that, it won't work. I should also mention you cannot clone in or out of unloaded chunks. You have to use like special chunk loaders to pull that one off. But basically, if it's loaded, you can see it, or it's the spawn chunks, you can clone from it into it. Right, next up, this is basically identical command to that one, but I'm going to explain it. So again, it's just cloning the absolute coordinates, which is that one there. But the positioning is relative. So you can use any combination. You can use relative and absolute for any of these. You can mix and match as you wish. But when you use relatives, they are relative to whoever runs the command. So if I was to run it, say here, it'd be relative there because it's minus 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same whenever I move, it'd be relative 4 to me. As it's being run by the command block, it comes relative from there, so it will put it at this point. The bits at the end, replace and normal, these are actually the mask mode and the clone mode. Now, the standard command, without either of these on, without any of the options here at all, is basically those two. Why am I telling you? Because if that's the standard ones, you don't need them, why bother? It's because some of the later on things, you do have to fill in options here. Otherwise, they won't work. So we press the button again. Boop. There we go. We've got ourselves another stone helix. Again, just cloning. And we're showing it's a replace one at the moment, which is the default. So if it's cloning that one over there, and it's cloning to this region, it will actually replace everything in here. So this nice little block in the middle, if we press the button, boop, it's gone. So this entire region, including the air from over there, is placed here, so it nukes everything. That's the standard mode. If instead of the standard replace, you have masked, what that does is it clones everything that is not air in that area. So the helix and the rest of it effectively doesn't exist, just like that. So if you do that, this doesn't disappear because it doesn't get replaced with air blocks. And if we just have a look there, you'll notice 26 blocks were cloned instead of the 224, which included all the air. Right, moving along. This one is filtered. Now you'll notice I've got normal there, which I mentioned earlier there. And that is obviously optional, but in these commands it's necessary to position this bit on the end. So what filtered does is it copies a specified block type. So in this case I've specified Minecraft stone and type 2. And a type 2 stone, if we have a look, is polished granite. So when we press this button, it will clone all of polished granite type, which is that one, and it will leave the rest behind. Press the button. There we go. So obviously copying the stone means it didn't copy the air either, or any other blocks that we put in there, so this stays. So you can make a copy specific blocks out, which is useful. Now we have a clone command that what is it attempting to do? You'll see this is fully relative. Just ignore most of these, it doesn't really matter at the moment. But it is attempting to move this little structure here and clone it 2 blocks across. Obviously it's 4 blocks wide, which means it will clone and take up this whole region, which overlaps. So if we press the button, nothing happens. And you'll see there it says source and destination cannot overlap. How do we fix this? Well, that's where we bring in force. So again, we've had to put in the mask mode so that force is in the right place. And force will make it happen. It ignores the fact that it's overlapping and it will do it. So if we do that, there we go. It's actually cloned the entire area 2 blocks across, which has overridden what was there. Now we've got this weird little pattern looking thing. If I was to do that again, that would happen, because it was cloning that area and moving it 2 across over itself. Final couple of variations on this. We've got masked and force. So a masked force, if you remember from earlier, masked means that it won't copy the air, it'll only copy the blocks. So if this goes 2 across, it won't override this. So press the button. There you go. Cloned it 2 blocks across, overridden part of itself, and now it looks kind of weird because it didn't copy the air. So the original structure is there and there, and the replacement one is there and there. That's obviously a bit ugly. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do both of those things? If we could actually move it and make sure that it doesn't overwrite it's there. Well, that brings us to the one I mentioned right at the beginning. And as it says, this is not on the wiki, it's not in the help, and it's not in the complete. But the clone mode that you can put on the end here, you can actually put move and force on there. So this is a masked move, and it is forcing to override. So if I press the button on that one, there you go. Now that's the fancy one. So it's taken the entire structure, it's caused it to move and not copy the air, it's forced it to overwrite itself partly, and because it was a move, the original has gone missing. So you get that instead of that. And that's the clone command. So, as per usual, hope you found it useful. And mentioned earlier, world download description below so you can play with this all by yourself. And if you do sort of make a mess of it like this, just come along, reset the area, and everything will go back to normal, and you can play with it again. So I hope you found that useful, and as per usual, thanks for watching, and bye-bye. That looks a little dangerous. Come up, just stay away from the walls, I'm sure we'll be fine. Whoa! What the hell? Whoa! No! 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 Oh my god! Oh! No! 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 Please! Please! I've got to make it! I've got to... Oh! Ow! Ow! Oh! Oh.